Hey everybody, I wanted to welcome you to the Introduction to the U.S. Constitution, which is the unit that we are working on this week. I wanted to kind of go over a little bit of what you are expected to do while you are watching this PowerPoint video. Okay, so first on the second page of your student copy, it says, watch the video I've created on this PowerPoint. You will need to fill in the slides as I go over them. Be sure to put down important information and in your own words. Okay, I know you're used to copying from the board word for word. That's not the best way to learn. Please make sure whatever information you put on your slides is your own words and a way that you can remember them. Additionally, you'll notice that these slides are kind of blank all the way through, and the reason for that is because I would like you to not only put your notes on it, but I would like you to find a picture that will help you remember the material for each slide. Okay, so something important on that slide that you want to remember, try to find an image to match it. The easiest way to do that is to go down to this Explore button down here, click it, and then you would type in what you're looking for in that image, and then you can drag the image onto your slide. Okay, so let's kind of get started here, and I'm going to go over the teacher version of this slide, which has all the information already documented on it, minus the pictures, okay? So we're going to have two videos, and I'm going to go over the PowerPoint in half of it in this video and the other half in another video, just to break it up for you so that there are some smaller pieces of information to digest at a time, okay? So the important vocabulary to go off of is for this unit will be article, jurisdiction, supremacy clause, amendment, popular sovereignty, federalism, separation of powers, checks and balances, veto, and judicial review. So as we go through this, you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping track of these vocabulary terms. And I've actually done that for you when we go through the slide, and any important vocabulary terms that pop up through the slides are highlighted in blue for you, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and switch this into presentation mode to make this a little bit easier for you to see. And you can go ahead and jot things down. If you'd like, you can type as we go, just make this screen a little bit smaller for you, or you can write it down on a piece of paper and transfer it later. It is up to you. All right, first we're going to go over the structure of the Constitution. It is a fairly simple structure with only three parts: the preamble, the articles, and the amendments. Okay, so the founders intended to lay out the structure and the powers in the document, but they would leave room for interpretation and for changes and adjustments to be made as necessary as societal needs changed. Okay, so what we need now in 2020 is not necessarily what we needed then in 1786. Okay, so just kind of think about how society has changed over that time and how many changes have been made to the Constitution since that, and we'll kind of go over that as well. So the preamble is an introduction. The articles are sections of the Constitution which break down specific powers. And then the amendments are going to be the changes that are made or how they're made to the document. Okay, so that's the structure of the Constitution. Now, the preamble, like I said, is an introduction, introduces the document, and it's also going to set the goals for the document. So I'm going to read this to you, and then we will talk about how that was addressed in the Constitution. So we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. So there are several things in here that they've talked about that they want to further elaborate in the Constitution and the articles itself. So they're talking about how they're going to form a more perfect union by establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, providing for the common defense, and promote general welfare of its citizens. So these are some of the things that are going to be addressed in the Constitution, and the preamble is a way to introduce the document. Okay. Now, The articles themselves are known as divisions in the Constitution. There are 7 articles total, and each article covers a general topic. I have laid them out for you on this slide in order. The first article deals with the legislative branch, the second article deals with the executive branch, and the third article deals with the judicial branch. Now, the first 3 articles of the Constitution are fairly the largest. And take up the most wording. There are about 7,000 words total in the Constitution. So it's not a really long document, but the areas that you can see that they spent the most time on dictating what would be powers allowed and powers not allowed can tell you what they had in mind for what was important during that time. Now, the fourth article is the relationship between states, between each other, as well as between states and the federal government. Fifth article is procedures for amending the Constitution, how to make changes. The sixth article deals with the supremacy clause, which you will see is also a vocabulary term, and we'll get into that in a later slide. And 7, ratification, how to make everything pass into law. Okay, so for the first article, we're going to really talk about how it establishes the legislative branch. So Section 1 of the article creates the United States Congress, and this Congress is made up of 2 houses. The first house is the House of Representatives. I like to shorten that to the HORS, H-O-R, as representatives of the population, and the Senate, which is representatives 2 per state, okay? In U.S. history, you discussed and learned about how they came up with the 2 houses and the bilateral Congress. Okay, and so you'll understand that there is a section of the Congress, which is the House of Representatives, that represent the people directly in their districts, and that is going to be a larger house. And then the chamber of the Senate is going to have 2 senators from each state, regardless of the population, and that will make up the upper house, okay, the upper chamber. So the Senate is the more powerful of the 2 chambers, and whatever passes in the House has to go through the Senate. Whatever passes in the Senate has to go through the House. There has to be unilateral movement between the 2, but the Senate is considered the upper house. Okay, we'll also get into that previously regular citizens didn't elect the senators. They got to represent the House representatives, but they did not get to choose their senators for the state. And the founders believed that was because we were not smart enough to make good choices in that. That would later be amended on the Constitution, and we'll go into that a little bit later, okay? So the other sections of the articles spell out the procedures for making laws, the type of laws Congress can pass, and the powers that Congress does not have. So it's very specific about what powers it does have and the powers it doesn't have. If it falls anywhere in between that, it could be considered gray area that could be interpreted later. Now, Article 2 creates an executive branch to carry out laws passed by Congress. Now, the executive branch is the President of the United States and his office and his cabinet and all of those things. Now they establish the power that is invested into the president, and this details the powers of the presidency, the duties that are there, the qualifications for the office, such as you have to be a certain age, you have to be born, naturally born, or born on the soil of the United States, and procedures for electing the president, and provides for the vice president. We'll get more into Article 2 as we get into the 3 branches of government, but for now, this is just a quick overview, okay? Article 3 establishes the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court. It establishes the Supreme Court as the head of the judicial branch and gives the national government the power to create lower federal courts, okay? So if you're thinking about a tier, there's going to be local courts, state courts, federal courts, and then the Supreme Court, which is way, way up at the top. It outlines its jurisdiction, and right here, jurisdiction is highlighted in blue, and that just basically means authority. Okay, so the authority of the Supreme Court and other federal courts to rule on cases, it says that, hey, they do have that authority to do that, but it's going to be within certain parameters. And it also, Section 3 defines treason against the United States and what that means, what you would have had to do in order to be charged with treason against the United States. Now, Article 4 explains the relationship of the states to one another and to the national government. There are a couple of things when we talk about relationship as well as citizenship. So right now, as a U.S. citizen, you have dual citizenship, basically. You have citizenship of the country that you belong to, or you're a citizen of, so the United States, and then you're also a citizen of the state that you live in. So we are Californians, therefore we are citizens of California, and we are not Arizonians or Nevadans or anything like that. We are Californians. We reside and live and pay taxes in California, therefore we are citizens of that state. Now, the article itself defines that if someone from Arizona comes into California, they are still allowed the same rights under federal law as the Californians, okay? So it's not that if I leave this state in this boundary, my laws for my civil liberties and rights have changed. I do have to follow those specific laws of the state that I'm in because the state has the authority to create its own laws, but they cannot infringe upon my specific civil liberties that have been established under the Constitution, okay? So that is what Article 4 discusses. It also addresses how to admit new states, and we haven't had a new state admitted since Hawaii. So maybe that might be a moot point at some point because I doubt that we are going to be expanding our territory anytime soon, but hey, who knows what's going to happen. Also guarantees that the national government will protect the states against invasion or domestic violence. So that is what Article 4 explains as far as the relationship between the states and then the states and the national government, okay? So for here, we're going to stop at Article 4 for this video, and we'll pick up with Article 5 in the next video. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, or if I need to go over some specific areas because you're not quite sure. Remember to go back and make sure that you have pictures for each slide that we have gone over so far. Again, email me, call me, text me if you need any help or if you have any questions. Talk to you soon.